If you know anything about the world of mukbang or just eating a lot of food on camera for fun, there is a very good chance that you've heard of Nikocado Avocado. I would say that he's probably the biggest mukbang channel on YouTube, or just like one of the most well known. Every video on his main channel gets millions and millions of views, so there's no way that you don't know of him. Nikocado Avocado has been known to be overweight for a very long time now, kind of being the mascot for overweight people. For the longest time on his channel, being that big has always been like sort of the joke, or like the big grab factor, with most people just going to his channel to watch him eat insanely large amounts of food. But I feel like over time, Nick has been showing signs that his mental health is deteriorating. If you just take a look at his most recent video, the one that came before him being skinny and him losing all the weight, he talks about how he's just unhappy with life and how he wishes he can just go back to normal life and just play the violin again.
I could have gotten my foot in the right door at some point in time. I was professional. I was smart. I don't like this! I don't like this!
Even if all of this is just one big act, I feel like there's still some truth to this. Like, this is somebody who genuinely seems unhappy. And when he was talking about not making any money, at first I was a little bit confused, but it kind of is starting to make sense. What he does is not safe, nor is it something that YouTube would probably want to recommend a new viewer. Nick, in a way, is kind of glorifying an eating disorder. And as unfortunate as it is, his job is to kind of lose himself on camera for people to laugh at and poke fun at. I feel like Nick has almost, in a way, like turned himself into like a circus animal. Whether or not this is purposeful or unpurposeful, something is wrong with him, even to the point where he's starting to make references towards game ending himself. I can't say the word, but he wants to game end himself.
The worst part is I have an escape route and I'm so afraid to take it. I'm so afraid to take it.
Whether or not you believe this is just one big act or not, I think we could all agree at one point he was genuinely just unwell. There's just no way I can believe that all this was one big act for him to do a social experiment. It just makes no sense. Now, I believe at the beginning it could have been a possibility, but I feel like he definitely lost himself inside of his own social experiment. I mean, let me make that make more sense. I do feel like he definitely did do a social experiment, but not his whole entire career. I feel like at the beginning of his career, for like the first couple years of it, he actually fell into his persona. And it wasn't up until like 2 years ago he was like, maybe I should lose some weight, maybe I should start trying to lose weight, and then he made this whole social experiment thing. There are quite a bit more reasons on why I'm still iffy about this entire thing, but we'll get to that later. So Nick came back with his big return video, getting like 32 million views on the first day, which is insane, by the way, where he's basically just talking about how he's a lot more happier, he seems a lot more happier, and how he lost all the weight and how he was 2 steps ahead, and just everything that he went through to get to this point.
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead. This has been the greatest social experiment for my entire life. It's alluring, it's compelling, it's gripping to observe all these unwell, disoriented beings roam the internet in search of stories.
There's one thing I don't understand about this entire thing is, what is he trying to get at? Like, what is the experiment? Like, what did he do? Like, what was the experiment he was trying to like do on everybody? Like, he's coming off as this ominous supervillain type of character, but at the same time it's like, okay, that's cool, but what are you trying to do? Like, what are you trying to say here? He refers to everyone else as unwell, disoriented beings, but like, in what sense? What were you trying to achieve? But regardless, losing 250 pounds is no small feat. As somebody who's been through their own weight loss transformation, that's insane. That's like losing 2 people off of your body. And the fact that he had 2 years worth of pre-recorded footage is also insane. And for the most part, nobody seemed to notice that it was pre-recorded footage. And to that, I'd say, yeah, that is kind of genius, I'm not gonna lie. In the same video, Nick goes on to call himself the supervillain and how we're all just his test subjects, and just insults us even more.
So I am the villain because I've made myself one. And you will continue to consume these stories about me year after year after year, for as long as I tell the internet that I am the villain. Stories that permeate and linger and infect the minds of the ants, influence the ants, brainwash the ants. You are the ants.
Nick's new persona is kind of creepy, but I guess it's understandable at the same time. If I had lost 250 pounds in private and had the whole internet call me fat during it, I'd have an ego as well. Even though I can get behind that, I genuinely do not believe this whole persona or this whole social experiment thing was not something that he started off his career with. I do stand by the fact that I think that at a point Nick realized that he had a serious issue. I feel like a struggle that gets overlooked a lot in society and gets made fun of a lot is binge eating disorder. Like, that's a serious issue, and based off of his videos on his channel, that kind of seems like what he fell into. When your entire job is based around binge eating, there's a good chance, of course, you're gonna develop an eating disorder. And for a mukbanger, I can only imagine how horrible it is. I mean, not only is it physically and mentally taxing, because you have to imagine they have to force themselves to eat that much amount of food, and on top of that, they have to let it sit in their stomach. And by the way, your stomach is not built for you to eat that much amount of food in one sitting. A good example of this is that there was recently a mukbanger who died because her stomach lining literally tore open from how much food she was eating. Just super sad, but that just shows how dangerous mukbangs can actually be. But even after all that, they still have to go through so many comments of people just shaming them, calling them obese and pigs and all of that, man. And I can only imagine what that does to somebody mentally. And as somebody who's been obese for his entire life and who just now recently lost weight, I literally know what Nick is going through. The most common addiction that gets overlooked nowadays is an eating addiction, man. Like, it's so common, but people just laugh at big people. When you're obese, you're the poster child for what not to look like. And because everyone doesn't want to look like you, nobody takes you seriously. It's such a weird loop. People will cast their insecurities on you in the form of jokes, and they will hide it with, oh, I just care about you. But that's not the truth. You're making fun of me because you know people will just accept it because I'm big. It's so weird. I don't mean to turn this into like a rant video, but that's just how I feel, man. And the people who are overweight, I know you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to talk to the general population. In his video, Nick refers to his bigger years as one big bad dream that's finally over with, which is completely understandable.
Today I woke up from a very long dream, and I also woke up having lost 250 pounds off of my body. Yet just yesterday, people were calling me fat and sick and boring and irrelevant.
I really want to have a discussion about this, man. Like, people who have never had to struggle with their weight before, let me know what you guys think down below. Like, how do you guys think about all of this? And to the people who have struggled with their weight, are still currently struggling with their weight, what do you guys think about all of this? I really do want to know. I want to see the different perspectives that everyone has on this whole thing, because even if you believe it's fake or not, this is still really interesting. My closing take on all of this is that I don't think Nick is on Ozempic. I don't think he cheated to lose weight or anything like that. I think that he lost all of his weight naturally. If you try really hard enough, it's definitely possible to lose 250 pounds in 1 year. Also, I don't believe that this is all one big social experiment that he had since the beginning of his channel. I think he fell into an actual eating disorder and just found a way to recover from it. That's all I genuinely think. But let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you for watching once again. Thank you for all the love and support on my last video, and I'm out. I'll see you guys later. Read your Bible and don't lose your star. I'm out.